welcome back to
The
Lash
Lash
Cuties
Cuties
podcast.
Podcast.
This is your host, Jenny Uribe.
And I'm Molly Spearman, and we are going to have our third episode today.
Woo-hoo!
We're so excited to be back here with you guys.
Yeah, so I guess let's just get into it.
Yeah. Today we want to talk about consultations and how to do them, how to go in depth, and just getting to know your clients and what they actually want, because some of them know, and as we all know, some of them don't know. So it's kind of, we have to use our expertise to figure out what they exactly want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is another way to set you apart from other lash artists as well.
So. Absolutely. So let's just dive into it.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's a few things that comes with consultation. When you first get your new client in the door, you could either, as I do, have like a paper form. So when they come in, I'll go over the consultation with them, my consent forms, and do it all there. Whereas Jenny does it a little bit different.
Yeah, so mine's online. I do my consultation form through JotForm. It's just what works for me. And I also have the app, which is nice because I'm able to see through my phone. I don't need my laptop to make sure that they sign. I just check the app, and from there I'm able to send the consultation form directly to them if they haven't signed it. So
that's amazing. Is it? Do you have to pay for your platform?
No, it's free. So I know
maybe I'll do that. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking about that because I have so many papers now. I'm like, I have too much. Mm-hmm. So honestly, do it online and do it before they come might be a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
So paperless
for sure. Yeah, but honestly, even though JotForm is really nice and I like having it online, just because I don't have to keep up with the papers, I do think that I want to have at least some consultations in paper just in case if, I don't know, let's say the app is down for whatever reason, just having backup, one. And then two, I am thinking about having the consultation forms for eventually I do want to do brow laminations and, just my additional services. And I want those consultations to be paper form. And again, JotForm only for lashes. So.
Why do you only want JotForm for lashes?
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'm able to, because I use Lash Genius as my booking site, and it automatically sends it to them. So I don't know if I'm able to edit it where maybe if they only choose brow lamination, then it knows what form to send them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so that's the reason why. I mean, that's something that I have to check myself, to be honest, but...
These are the daily struggles that we have, and this is why it's good for us to have, this together and someone to lean on and support. I do have all of my consent forms, brow lamination, lash lift, lash tint, waxing, all in just paper form, but it would be very nice to go paperless, I would say. Of course, have them in case you need them, in case someone comes in and they haven't done it. But it's nice to have multiple ways of doing it. But it probably will make you easier if you just spend the time to get it done and load it up on your computer so you can send it out to them. So once we figure it out, Lash Genius does this with their basic software, we will let you guys know. But as of right now, we don't know.
Yeah. So. And I think other apps, other booking sites, they are a little bit more flexible. Like some things offer certain things and others don't. I love Lash Genius, but I do know that there's some things that I wish they provided or had differently. So, but that's just something I have to check. Or maybe it's just an upgrade from what I'm paying now. Maybe I have to get into the gold side of Lash Genius. Maybe they offer that.
Yeah, that's like the next level up. So they have all the basics, but that's something we definitely, once we kind of figure it out, we will let you guys know. As far as consultations, Jenny, what do you tell your clients when they first come to you? When you first see them book, they have done their consultation form. How does it go for you when you get them into our studio?
Okay, so before they come in, I do make sure that they've already signed off their consultation form. From there, I just kind of look at what they checked off, which I'll get into the consultation form later. But when they come in, I have a little booklet, and it automatically, each page has a little lash outline. It says on there like name, date, the curl, millimeters, all that. It lists everything. So as soon as they sit down, do you want me to go into super detail? Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So, all right. So let's say someone walks into the room. Obviously, I greet them, ask them if they have to use the restroom. That's the first thing I always ask. I just tell them to sit on the bed, and then from there, I just kind of go over like, okay, so you today you booked for a volume full set. Do you still want to do that? Yes. Okay. And then I ask them, or I go based on their consultation form. I can see if they've had lashes before, if they have not. So if they haven't, I get a little bit more into detail about it. If they have, then I ask them what kind of set have they had previously. So if they booked for a volume set, but they've only ever had classic, then I go a little bit more into detail about what to expect from there.
Yeah.
And then usually they already know what to expect if they already had extensions before. From there, then I also ask them the design. So what design have they had previously? So that's going based on cat eye, doll eye, natural sweep, all those kind of things. And then I explain the difference on that part.
So have you noticed that a lot of people don't know what they've had?
They don't know.
Because they have gone somewhere where they just do whatever. And they don't know. So it is nice to be able to get to that point and be like, I feel like a lot of my clients that are new are like, oh my goodness, I didn't know you could do all these things.
Yeah.
So it is fun to be able to like, okay, it's good to have a good consultation because there's so much you can do.
For sure.
And a lot of places just do one thing and one size or whatever it is. And
yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And do you want to pull out your paper for
the
people that are watching? So Mullen has this really nice lash design sheet, and it just kind of, it's very dramatic, but it shows all the different like where the longest points are going to be at on the design. So it's a really nice visual for people to see. I think you could just get this off Google, to be honest. And so that way it just gives it a visual. Most of the time, again, I ask people what they've had before. A lot of times they don't know. And then if they do know, cool. I'm like, okay, do you want to stick with that? If they don't know, then I then look at their eye shape and I give them my recommendations. So if they have downturn eyes, I know not to give them a cat eye. And I explain that to them, you know. And most people have heard of cat eye, but they haven't heard of doll eye. You know, I think cat eye is the universal thing that everyone's heard of before. So, so from there, I'll tell them like, okay, you know, if it's slightly downturned, but they do want a cat eye look, then I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll do like a kitten eye or like a natural sweep or something. So, and I'll explain to them why I'm doing that, why I don't want to do certain lengths on their eyes. And then the next step after that, then I ask them, again, I'm just going based if someone's already had lash extensions. I ask them what link, do they know the links that they've had previously? A lot of times people don't know their links. I think it's kind of more rare if people do know what kind of links they want. But then from there, it's just, I just ask them, okay, so do you like them more on the shorter side, medium, or do you like them long? You know, and most people, I do think they tend to say medium sizes. So for me, I take mediums like up to maybe 13, to be honest. Yeah, like 13, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think 14 starts to get a little bit more on the longer side. Unless they're asking for wispy, then I might throw in a 14 in there, you know? Yeah, so then I just talk about the links, and then what else do I say?
I think after lengths, I always ask them if they've had any problems before. Like, have you lost them a lot? How's your retention? Like, basing off like they've had them before. Like, what has your retention been? Get a length, if there was anything they liked or didn't like with the set, or I usually, if they've had them before, I ask if they've had a photo, because it's nice for me to kind of, I can't always tell because sometimes it's like kind of far away,
right? But
I do like to ask them, do you have a photo, so I kind of can see if that's what you like, or if that's something you didn't like, you know, kind of be able to base it off of that, I guess.
Yeah. I noticed some people come in with inspo pics and some people do not at all. They just kind of more explain what they want.
Yeah.
I've had, to be honest, I get more people that don't come in with inspo pics.
Yeah, I'll talk for myself. I never know what I want, so it's like I feel like I'm that kind of person. I'm like, let's just see. Now I know I've tried a lot now, but up until this point, I've been like, oh, I didn't know what I liked. I know I could. For me, I could never do cat eye, so like I learned that really fast. But I was like, oh, do I go long? Do I go short? Then did C curl and did D curl. I've been kind of like all over the place. I do feel like a lot of people like have like a general idea of what they want, and some people have no clue, which is both. Either way is fine. I do think that since it's not permanent, it's nice that if you do not get it 100% how they want it, like kind of just saying in the end, like, hey, we can change everything up. We can change the design, we can change the length, we can change the curl. So I think that kind of helps in case you don't nail it on the first like try. It happens, but you can always make changes to it.
And I've gotten before already a few times actually where after I get done kind of giving my whole thing, asking them what they want, and then I kind of do a what is it, like a summary, like, okay, so today after, and I ask them to, like, okay, do you have any questions for me? And the aftercare I usually go over at the end. I might touch a little base on it in the beginning, but I usually do say all that in the end. I save it for the last part.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I the most important things I tell them twice. I tell them before I lay them down and do all that, and then I'll tell them again, like with the aftercare at the end.
Yeah.
Not all of it, because I'm the kind of person that it can be too much information.
Right.
Like right away, so it's nice to kind of split it up a little bit and be like reiterate the stuff that's really important.
Because I feel like for the consultation, it's more like, okay, what are you expecting to see whenever you open your eyes, and then obviously once we're done with that stuff, that's like, okay, this is what you do to take care of them, and just take care of them. So I do think that it's breaking it up, just again, because it is, especially if someone doesn't know and it's their first time, or maybe it's been a long time since they've had lash extensions. It's a lot of information. So
it is. I need it as a teaspoon. I feel like I'm such a baby, like retaining like stuff. So I like to just kind of like, I'd rather like give it in a teaspoon size and kind of be like, okay, reiterate in that, instead of just like blasting them with everything and they're like not gonna remember any of it.
Yeah. And then again, some people have told me like, oh, this is the first time I've ever been asked so many questions before in a consultation, which I really like, because I know that there's a lot of lash artists that they just go based on what they see. It's like, okay, based on this eye shape, I'm going to do this. But I think it's really nice talking to them and telling them why you're going to do a certain set, or why you're going to do certain lengths on them, instead of just leaving them in the dark.
Absolutely. And if they're unsure, if they ever give me a hesitation on like how long they want them or whatever, I always go a little bit more conservative, because I tell them too. I tell them like, because you hesitate a little bit, I'd rather go a little bit shorter, or a little bit more conservative, and then we can always go up. And I don't want to have a reaction like, oh my goodness, this is too much.
Yeah,
so like we can always add to it.
Yeah, I always say that too. I'm like at the end, if they're like, oh yeah, these are super natural, it's like, look, I'd rather you be saying that it's too natural than feeling overwhelmed, especially again if it's their first time or first couple times, because if they're overwhelmed at first, they're gonna automatically like, I hate them. They might mess with them. They might try to pick them out themselves, and just to avoid any of that,
they might cut them.
Yeah, they might cut them.
I remember horror stories.
I know. I actually just read about something like that last night on Facebook. But so just to avoid all that, I do, like Malin said, just kind of try to keep it a little bit on the more natural side, and then from there, next time they're like, yeah, let's bump it up. And that's something I always tell them too at the end of the service. I'm like, fill them out, see how you like them, and whenever you come in for your refill, like, let me know if you want to change up the mapping, you want to go longer, shorter, whatever. And so they keep that in mind as well. Like, they walk out of there and it's like, yeah, they just fill them out. It's like, how do you actually like them? Because it's different seeing them, when you're laying down or while you're in the studio versus, person going on about their life like normal. So,
absolutely.
So that overall is the summary of my consultation.
So for me, I'll go over the steps that I do. So first of all, because I don't do the consultation online, I just have the paper form. Usually they tell me on my booking app how they found me, whether it's Google, Groupon, whatever it is, social media. And then, so I kind of know. Some people I don't, because they don't put it on there, which is okay. But whenever I have them booked, the date of their booking, if they come early, I'll send them a text the day before. But usually I text them that morning and I say, hey, this is Malin from Norwegian Skin and Lash. I'm super excited to do your lashes tomorrow, and I'll give them kind of just like a little, like, just kind of welcoming text too, that I am excited to meet them and they're new. And I tell them where to park when they get to my studio, and I tell them that I want to come down and get them, because I know it's kind of confusing where our studio is. Like, it's kind of in the middle of the building, you have to go up some stairs and then to the right. So I like to tell them, just text me when you're there the first time. Also, because then now they have my number, so if they do have any issues, they can also reach out to me ahead of time. But so then I obviously go down and greet them and say hi, and like, we walk upstairs, and then I tell them that obviously get comfortable, hang up their stuff if they want, and then I'll just go over, kind of same as Jenny. I'll first go over my consent form, to be honest, which we are going to go in detail in a second, but I'll go over my consent form and I'll go over every single thing with them because I want them to know my policies just so they know for the future. And I don't know, just so have some expectations there. And then after that, I'll tell them like, whether they have a pick or not. It would be cool to see. Also, trying to think the steps that I like go in. If I'm just gonna go based on them not having a picture, so whether they do or not, like they'll come in, they'll show me, or they'll tell me exactly what they want. I'll do the same as Jenny. I'll be like, hey, you sign up for a hybrid set? Do you know what it is? And they're like, yes or no. And I'll still go over and explain them. And if I see that they don't know what it is, I will go in more detail just what all my specific sets are, just so they have an idea. And then obviously just listen to them and what their needs are. And then we'll just same as Jenny, just talk about the lengths. What lengths do they want? If they don't know, same as Jenny. Most people will say they want like kind of like a medium length, which is totally fine. Then I ask them which curl they want. If they want more like a natural curl, more like curlier curl. If they want them wispy, if they want a wet set. It's a lot of things you can go in, but that's like the perfect time to be like go in actual details because there's a lot that comes with it. But I do feel like the more you do your consultations, you can kind of pick up on things that they say. So it's not so, I don't usually have a list I'm following. I just kind of like, I kind of know all the questions I have when they come in and I ask them.
And that's another thing too. Sorry to cut you off, but even if you like forget something during the consultation, like, and even right now, I forgot to mention that I do ask them like, okay, do you want to do wispy? Do you not want to do wispy? And which I asked them, and I totally forgot to mention that right now. But even if I forgot that during the consultation, it's like, okay, as I'm washing them or like giving them the lash bath, it's like, oh, also, by the way, hey, do you want it wispy? So it's not like, oh man, I forgot to say it and now I can't go back or whatever. It's like, who cares? Just when something pops in your head, just ask it. So
I've done this so many times. I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot to ask you what color you wanted.
Right.
And then we'll just talk it out. People are so cool about it. I don't think I've had any person ever that I forgot to say something like that.
Yeah.
And when I brought it up, no one has ever been like upset or like been like, oh my god, you're so unprofessional. Like you can forget. Can you imagine? They're like, okay, lady, I'm leaving.
Seriously,
that doesn't happen. Okay. People are nice. So, as far as I just have like this little paper in my hand. I have my like little consent form. Consent form is, first of all, let's just say, if you do lash extensions in Denver or in Colorado, you need to have an esthetician license. And with that, you should have a consent form or like a waiver of liability. Things that are gonna protect you if something bad happens. You should have that. Just go and get some. We can. If you guys reach out to us, we can send you which sites to go on to get these. They're not that expensive. I think mine is like $100 for a whole year. But if you don't have your consent forms, you can be unsafe from getting in trouble. If something bad happens, like reaction, something happens to their eye, like there is risk with it. And so that also is the reason why when they come in, I go over each point I have in here just to detail so they kind of know what to expect also, because there is a risk with it.
For sure. It's a service, and not only is a loss, it protects you from a lawsuit. Second, it also just protects you from just a problematic client. If they're like, well, I don't know, if the consent form says can't get them up for 24 hours, if that's your policy, and they say, oh well, I got in jacuzzi an hour after I got my lashes done. Oh, can you give me a free fix? And if they're one of those kind of clients, it's like, no, you signed the consent form, you signed it off, you agreed to my policy that you cannot get your lashes wet. That's just an example, but it's not only protecting you from lawsuit side, but it's protecting you from just trouble clients. So
absolutely, that's so funny you say that. Like so I'm gonna go over the bullet points and then we can go into each specific one.
I'm gonna pull mine up as well.
So my bullet points of my consent form is care and maintenance. So I tell them that I'm going over that more in detail in a second, but care and maintenance is on there. How to take care of them. Then my next one is if they have any medical conditions, which they can tell me because that can affect their retention as well, or it can affect giving them lashes at all or any service. So I have that on all my consent forms. My third one is my cancellation / rescheduling policy. Then I have my deposit policy on here. I don't know if everybody has that, but I just tell them that I have a deposit. Just it protects me in case people don't show up and I can't fill that spot. Then I have a fixed policy on here. I do have a payment policy, photo consent policy, and then my last one is a waiver of liability. Mm-hmm. What do you have on yours?
Ours are pretty similar. So mine starts off, they have to say their personal information like name, phone number, date of birth. I do have the question of, have you had lashes done before? Yes or no? Just nice. So I know, again, how I'm going to go about the consultation. And then also I have here, do you wear contacts? Just so I'm aware as well. And then the last question I have is, how did you hear about me? So kind of going based on what you said before, is it Instagram?
Yep. It's good for us. That one's good for us to know, just because then we can see. I know that I get a lot of my people from Groupon, and I get a lot of my social media, my Instagram. Yeah. So it's a nice way to show that, so you know where to put your marketing.
So my first thing is just the consent, where it says, I agree to have lash extensions applied. It kind of does go in a little bit into detail about like how long they should expect to be laying down for their eyes closed. And then, the next thing is the care and maintenance, kind of like how you said as well. So I tell them what to avoid, or, just what to be cautious of on that section. Next, I have my cancellation policy. So it mentions cancellations. It also mentions no-shows, and also my grace period time. So usually it's 10 minutes. I'm kind of flexible on that, but overall it is 10 minutes, so people are aware.
Absolutely.
And then it also has my, the deposit on here as well. And then the next thing is the photo consent, which regardless of, and I ask people, even if they were to sign this, I ask them like, hey, is it okay if I post a picture? And if they're like, no, which I think I've had one person say like, just a close up of my eye, like, they didn't say absolutely not, but even at that one, I was like, let me just let it go. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. That's totally okay if someone does not want their pictures posted online. But it is on here that I might just take a picture. And then the last part is the waiver of liability. So this is just, it just kind of goes into, if they're aware that they don't have any, something like COVID or something, and it just kind of goes a little bit more into detail on that part.
Well, let's go into detail on each of them, because ours, as you guys are hearing right now, like a lot of our stuff is very similar. So it's just a good thing for every lash artist, I think, to kind of go over this. So should we start with just some care and maintenance and go over?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, so like Jenny said, it's important for us to have this in here, this specific to care and maintenance, because we know how important it is for them to take care of their lashes at home as well. Yeah, a lot of it is on us, but a lot of them is also on the client following these steps for the best possible result and the best retention, and also cleanliness, because we have a lot of bacteria around our eyes, and if they don't ever, I had a client one time, and it was terrible, because her lashes, it was pretty bad, and I just told her that she really has to go see an eye doctor, because she wouldn't clean them, because she was scared of losing them, and she had been somewhere else before, and so I kind of like just got her as this was a problem, and I couldn't lash her because everything I put on was just coming right off, because we could not get that base clean, and at that point, you just need some some help. But I know also for me, I don't want to take my lashes off, but at that point, kind of reiterating how important it is to clean your lashes. That's why it's on here, because bad things can happen to their eye if they're not.
Yeah.
So,
and going just real quick on that, I know I've had a couple clients before in the past too, where I'm sure it is, they don't want to wash them because they have the idea that they're going to lose more lashes the more you wash them, which is not true. But or I don't know the actual reason for it, but what I've done is I've taken pictures before, even after cleaning, and like if it's still stuck on there, like, I mean, whatever, if there's a little bit of something, lash bath is going to clean it off, fine. But if it's, and what I'm talking about, it's like, okay, this is a little off. I'll show them a picture, and in the picture you can clearly see like just all that buildup in there. Yeah, and so that way they can see their own eyes, because I think it's different, you just telling them like, hey, I see a lot of buildup versus them actually seeing it, then it's kind of more like, oh, okay, that actually is not good, you know? So I like to do that. And then if they still don't want to clean it afterwards, then it's like, okay, we got to try some more, you know?
I don't want to take no risks. And that's why if that becomes an ongoing problem, again, I've only had like one client that said like was really bad, and I was like, I cannot lash you.
Yeah.
But it is important because we can like, even with makeup, if they come in with makeup, it is hard to get the makeup off.
Yeah.
Like properly, even for us. So like having like I can understand that it is hard for them to get the makeup off too, and kind of see it in the lash line. But if we don't get it off, of course the lashes are not going to stay on. And like some of the makeup is like really like kind of gooey and thick and super oily, and it's just very hard to get in there and get it all off.
And I know like that's something that I kind of try to keep in mind for myself is I do like to wear eyeshadow, not so much. I know today I'm wearing it because we were taking some pictures earlier. But also I like to do top eyeliner whenever I kind of want to make my eyes stand out a little bit more. And so it's like, okay, I know that like for the next at least couple of days, I really have to clean in there and make sure to get all that like junk off, because if not, then it's just gonna get harder, and it's just, you know, just gonna get harder. Yeah, it's gonna build up, and it's just gonna get harder for me to remove it. So, and of course, I don't want that build up, and then either Mullen or one of the other girls from the studio, they're the ones that give me the refills, and I don't want them to think like, oh, this is how is she a lash artist and has disgusting lashes.
Exactly.
So
with that, it's on here like come in with clean lashes. I usually actually also put that in my text when I text my client when they come in, at least for the first time. And I'll be like, hey, please make sure to not come in with makeup. And if they do, I do have some makeup remover pads that are lash safe and some stuff we can do. But I do really tell them, like, if you can come in with clean lashes, it saves us time. It saves us, like, you know, time to lash. So that's all. It's on here because I wanted to protect ourselves. Because I've had a client, like, a long time ago who came in with makeup and I couldn't get it off. And I asked her, can we reschedule? And it was a really quick appointment, too. And she wasn't usually coming to me. And so, and I told her, I was like, I can't get it off. Like, they're probably going to come off. Sure enough, next day she comes in, she complains. They all, like, fell off. And it was just uncomfortable. I put my coworker at unease because she was, you know, like, trashing me because they were just coming off. But I had, like, written good notes, luckily. You know, but it was protecting me for, like, not her having a free fill because I asked her, I can reschedule you. So now I know, for me personally, now I have my own business, I'd rather just reschedule them. If I cannot get it off, because I know I've happened before that I can't get it off, it's just a bad thing. So obviously, like, come in with clean lashes. Don't use any oil-based products around your eyes because that also can loosen up the bonds of the extensions.
That's exactly what I have here.
It's a lot of discussion now of like if you can get them wet the first 24 hours, and there's some bonders and stuff out there that you can. However, I just like to tell my clients that they shouldn't, just because I just don't want to risk them like you know, like them falling out right away. Like, you don't get your lash done and then go straight to the pool. So I like to just have that as a rule anyways, whether it works or not, to just, you know, like just keep them dry for 24 hours. And like Jenny said, that way if they go home and shower that day and they don't fall out, like, you don't have to give them free fill. You can. I usually do. I always give everybody at least one if they need it. But you don't want people to unnecessarily come in just because they didn't follow, you know, the aftercare. Waterproof mascara, terrible idea. Like, it's just horrible. Do not use the extensions. I wouldn't use mascara at all, the extensions. If you need an extra fill, I would rather have them come in and do that. But like, mascara is just hard to get off. Waterproof, impossible. So, you know, just avoid that to any, I don't know, by any means. Also, as far as on here, I have do not pick them or pull them like your extensions. And I know there's pickers in the house, but I know that I can do it if I'm like on my last thing. So like, I'm also guilty of it. But obviously, like, you can pull out your natural lashes, which you don't want to do because then you disrupt their growth. So you can usually tell when people are picking because they usually do it just, you know, on one side, or, you know, if they're really anxious, there can be a lot of people that pulls them, but you could usually tell if there's a lot in one area unless they're shedding a lot. Which usually if they do that, like, there's lashes to lash, or they have like healthier lashes coming in. And then yeah, if you need, I have it on here too. Like, don't pick them all out. Rather, just come in for a removal. If you don't keep up with them, or like for whatever reason, you just, just don't pick them up.
That's what I have. Honestly, we have the same thing. I think we did go over this together because
we might have.
Yeah. But yeah, I also have literally all of that exactly the same. The next part, I guess, for me would say the cancellation policy. So mine says, and again, this is just me. Everyone's is different. So mine says cancellations are to be made 24 hours prior to the scheduled appointment. I know some girls like to have 48 hours cancellation policy. For me, I'm okay with 24 hours. And then says cancellations and rescheduling with less than a 24-hour notice will result in paying 50% of the service and will require a new deposit or no future booking. And this is just for me to protect myself. Well, one, the deposits on my end are just non-refundable at all. That is just my policy. And then the reason why I charge 50% for a cancellation within 24 hours is because through the booking site, again, Glass Genius that I use, they send an email and a text 72 hours before as a reminder and 24 hours before. So
plenty of chances,
exactly. And not only that, but it's whenever they book, they also get a text and an email. Yeah. So that's that's way more than 3. That's probably 6 different notices reminding them of their appointment. So if you're canceling within the 24 hours, in my opinion, there's really not an excuse for it. Obviously, if something comes up like literally just out of the blue and it's an emergency, okay, like I get that, and I'm very like flexible on that part too. But it's already happened a couple times where it's like, okay, if it's your first appointment ever and show me, you're gonna get blocked. I think that that's just really disrespectful. And this is just going on me, on my policy.
So for my cancellation policy, I have 12 hours. I may change it to 24 hours because it's just hard to book up that hour. Just that, like, let's say they cancel at 10 p.m. and I have them at 10 a.m. It's kind of hard to get this, my spot filled. And then so that again leaves me hanging. But as of right now, I do have 12 hours. Yeah. And I do have, same as Jenny, like 50% if they don't, like if they do that within the 12-hour window. I tell all my clients this is how I tell them. When they first come into me and I go over all these steps, I do tell them that. I tell them I do have a 12-hour cancellation policy. So please just communicate with me if you want to cancel or reschedule. And please do it outside of 12 hours. I also tell them that I do have understanding that things can happen because I'm not like, things have happened to me before and I can't make it an emergency. But you can tell the difference if it happens all the time. But I generally give everybody like one chance because I don't want to charge them if I don't do their lashes. It makes me feel bad. I don't like it. Yeah. Money is hard to come around. You don't want to fuck with someone's money. Sorry for cussing. But I do tell them specifically, everybody coming in for the first time, so they kind of know like my policy, but also like, I also tell them like it's also respecting of my time. Like I show up to do your lashes at that time, but then I would like you to show up as well. So it's like a respecting too. And again, you can make depending on who it is. Like if someone you had a long time, like you know them, they wouldn't try to like mess with your schedule or just not be disrespectful. So it depends on the person. If the first time they come in, I usually give them one chance. But I had a new client that never had. She did that to me twice and then I just blocked her because at that point it's just gonna go out on me, and like if she already doesn't know me and doing this, I'm like, she probably definitely not gonna care when I actually get her in. So I agree, have some talk with your clients and kind of see how the relationship is with that. I do have on mind that I charge 100% if they don't show up. It's a no-show. I feel like it's harsh also because I know that money is hard right now, but at the same time that's 2 hours of my time when I could have gotten like, that this is my job. So I have it on there. I feel like I am kind of like, it depends on the person. If it's someone I know, I probably won't, but I have it on there because I do feel like that's respecting of my time that I could have given someone lashes. But yeah.
On that part though, I will say, I think it's fine here in Colorado, but I think in different states, I think you cannot charge 100%. So whatever state you're in, you would have to check on that if you can charge 100%. If not, some states have the cap where you can only charge 50% of the service. So again, just keep that in mind.
And also something we run into, just because we're on the topic, and I know it's happened to me and happened to Jenny, I think, having clients not show up and you try to charge their card and they just, they just, what do you call it? They block their card.
Yeah, they lock their card.
Which is so frustrating as far as like for like, because we're a provider of a service, and it is frustrating because like, this is, again, we could have had someone at that time, and we definitely want to be above and beyond on our services.
Yeah.
So it just kind of puts us in like a shitty situation, I would say.
Yeah.
You know?
I know that happened to me kind of recently. I want to say about like 2 months ago or something. And I had this client just 2 times, and this was her second time booking. And the first time she canceled within 24 hours. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And so she ended up booking, I think, for like 2 days later or something. So I was like, okay, didn't charge her. And again, this is the part where like I am still very lenient on my own policy. But once I see a line being crossed, then I'm like, okay, I can't do that anymore, you know? Yeah. And then I hadn't had her in a minute, and then she booked an appointment, and then she called me the day of, again, second time, canceling within 24 hours. And she's like, can I book for tomorrow? And I was like, that's fine. You know, we went over the same time, same set, and we were talking on the phone. So it was like very clear communication. Anyways, the day of her appointment comes up. She, it's like 5, 10, 15 minutes pass. And again, and this is now like what, the third time that I'm going over my policy. She was over 15 minutes late. And even at that, I still texted her like, hey, are you still able to come in? And again, keep in mind, I have a 10-minute grace period. And then she texted me and she's like, oh, I forgot. I just got my hair done. I'm like an hour and a half away. And so at that point I was like, okay. So I canceled the appointment. I blocked her from booking. And then, and I even texted it to her. And again, I'm very still respectful and professional on the text. But it was still very frustrating. But I even texted her and I was like, okay, well, just based on my policy, I am going to have to charge you 50%. And one thing that I do like about Glass Genius is that their card is on file. So because she even had to book the appointment initially, her card is on file because she had to pay that deposit fee. And so when I went to go in to charge her her card for the no-show, she had locked her card. And so I couldn't charge her. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. Yeah. So then I tried like the next day. I think that was like on a Tuesday when she didn't show. And I tried like Wednesday, Thursday, nothing, still locked. And then I don't know, I'm persistent. And so I think it was like that Saturday night at like 11 p.m. or something. I was like, let's try now. And what a surprise, it went through. So I was like, okay, there we go. And that's something to keep in mind. Most people on the weekends, like late time Friday or Saturday, they're going to unlock that card because chances are they're out and they're using their card. So, so whatever.
Just have boundaries. I think I'm sure, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure a lot of us lash artists are people pleasers. And I know for me, myself, I had a really hard time with boundaries. I still do. But I do think that having the policies, and for me, it helps being upfront from the beginning. So already having them that first time, like I'll tell them, like, please don't disrespect my time either. Like I'm here like to go above and beyond for you, but don't like disrespect my time. Because then it's easier for me, like if they in the future do it and something like that would happen, I wouldn't feel so bad because I already been upfront and I'm not like, hey, I got you. It's nothing like that. But I feel like that's helping me keeping my boundaries.
Right. And that's the thing too. And this goes for both me and Mon. Like I don't want to charge people like their money, or, just, I'm just trying to get all the money I can. Like not at all. Like I want to, and this is again, going back on this example of this client, like I went against my own policy like 3 or 4 times, just trying to accommodate with her and just get her that full set. And again, for me, it's not about the money. It's just having like just trying to gain a new client and just being very I don't know, I guess inviting and understanding. But at some point it's like, okay, that disrespect is starting to occur like repeatedly, and I can't take that, especially me disrespecting at this point or allowing the disrespect on my own business. So again, that it's not even about money, but at some point it's like, okay, you're crossing the boundaries here. So
Absolutely. So my next one, I don't know if you said you had this one. Actually, I think I have 3 on here that you might not have, but they're really short ones. So I have my deposit policy, which I mean, I guess it's a policy, but again, if they book when they are online, they have to put in a deposit. So if they don't show up or whatever it is, like at least, like I have the $30. Also, just I feel like it's one of those. It goes towards their appointment if they show up. So then when they come in, it's whatever left, like $60 or whatever.
yeah.
So I have that on there, and then that it's non-refundable, and then of course it's, if they come with Groupon, I send that back to them because that's different. But it says it's non-refundable. Then I do have a fixed policy on there, mainly because at the lash salon I worked before, like there's so much back and forth. I just like to tell them, I tell them to, and I know a lot of people don't because they're like, I don't want to get free lashes. For me, again, like I do trust my skills, and I feel comfortable telling them that, like, you can use that if you need it, because I do feel that's a trust thing too. Like if they're like, okay, like you never know, something, everybody at some point can have a shitty day lashing. It just happens, that's what it is. I like just be upfront to say I have it because I don't want to leave anyone hanging. Again, I know how hard people work for their money. I wouldn't want to just waste it, so I really try to have that as like, hey, I got you. If you need it, I got you.
For sure.
And then on here also, I also have a payment policy, and it's what we talked about, that they cannot dispute any charges, which people do, but I have it on here. So if it ever would have gone to like a bad, go somewhere it shouldn't go, it's on here. I just want to protect myself. I want to protect me, and I want to protect my business, because that's everything I do every day, and I just want it to be good.
I don't have a fixed policy, or it's not listed on my consent form, but I am more than happy to give someone a complimentary fix. I'm gonna blame myself always first before I blame the client. That's just me. I don't know how healthy that is, you know what I'm saying? But
I would say I actually think that's a good thing, because I do think for a lot of us, it probably is oftentimes something that we do, or our humidity or placement, just things, and then also, like, I feel like, again, like, it's easy to be like 50-50, but I do think that's a good thing to take responsibility and be like, hey, I want you to come back in.
Right, yeah.
It's better to be like, nah, you did it.
Yeah, and you don't just put the blame on someone else.
You don't want to do that. So like, get them in for a fix and be like, let me make sure I'm on my A game. Right. And if it then happens, then you can go into it. Right. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think even on the fix part too, it's like, and again, I mean, I'm willing to take full responsibility on why, whatever it is that occurred. But also, I think on that point too, it's like, okay, go over like, okay, well, did you happen to, I don't know, get your lashes wet? Did you happen to maybe go to the gym after and sweat? Or, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of go over things. Or do you put on any oil-based products? So just also trying to gauge like, okay, did they also do something? So, and then maybe they did. And so it's like, oh, there's the answer. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of going over that little consultation really quickly again. And then, and maybe they did, maybe they didn't, whatever. But it's like, even if you go over that little consultation again, then it's like, it might be a reminder for them as well. It's like, oh shit, I actually did put oil-based products. I'm not going to admit it, but I did. And so now they keep that in mind too, so.
Or I picked them all out.
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's true though.
Yeah.
Just give them that, like, that can make or break if you get a client back and keep a client. I think most people are so nice about it too. Yeah. Like, just, I would do it and just take the blame and just try again, and then go from there. Ask all the questions you need, which we should actually make probably an episode like where we talk like in depth about that too, like what questions you ask, things that can affect that.
Yeah.
But then I guess the next one is our photo consent. What do you have on there?
Mine says, you agree that your Lux Aesthetics may capture photos of you both before and after if you have received a service. These photos may be used on social media or for training purposes.
Me too. Yeah, literally the same.
I think we went over this together. Yeah, it's been so long, guys, since we created this.
So when I get someone in for photo consent, when I go over that, I just tell them, hey, I would love to take photos, but if you don't want me to for any reason, we don't have to. And I tell them in the future, if you just don't want me to take photos and I ask you, you can comfortably say no. Yeah. I'm okay with it. Yeah. Most people don't say no, but I want them to be like, this is a space where like if you feel like absolute shit and you like don't want to because we all had that, then that's okay. Like I'm not gonna take any photo. Don't stress about it. It's okay.
Right. And I know that this happened pretty recent too. I asked someone if I could take a after picture and video, and she's like, yeah. And again, I asked her, I was like, is it okay if it's posted? And she's like, yeah. And then she's like, I really appreciate you asking. And then and again, even she was fine with it, but I think it's again just having the consent and just their permission. I think it just goes a long way than just posting it. And again, like how you're saying, if someone's just not feeling their best that day, they probably don't want their picture posted. So.
Absolutely, there's so many. A lot of people just not for like social media. So I always try to be understanding because some people just don't want their photo on there. But they can also they tell you something like Jenny said that sometimes they just want to have like just their eye, and that's okay. Just whatever makes them feel comfortable, I'm okay with. I don't want to invade them feeling comfortable.
Right. Yeah. And then that's what again when I like even if there is a little like with just this in my eyes, I'm like, let me just not even bother with it. I'll keep it to myself, and I can use it as like a portfolio to show a client when they come in, like something to refer back to, like, oh, hey, this was a hybrid set. It's not posted on social media, but I can still show it to different clients. So it's personal. It's not posted on the internet.
Absolutely.
So, and then my last part is the waiver of liability. Is that yours too?
Yeah.
Okay, so mine starts off, it says, it is understood that the services provided under this agreement may have risk associated with them. By signing this document, as well as any additionally applicable consent forms, you agree that you have waived your rights to any actions or claims resulting from the services received by your Lex Aesthetics.
Me too. Yep.
Okay.
Same.
So, and then in this part, and it says that I remain dedicated to hygiene and sanitation. And, what else is there? Sanitation. There is a risk, as with any public service, of contracting infectious or viral diseases, including but not limited to COVID-19, the flu, or common cold. What is it? I have read and completed the Urilex intake form in its entirety, and in truth, I acknowledge that I have been advised of the potential harmful or negative side effects, such as the premature shedding of my eyelashes, which also, so I know that goes into conversation as well. That's something to bring up too, especially if you notice that like someone is losing their lashes more than their normal. Go over lash shedding, especially. I think we just got out of the season of it. But especially during spring and fall seasons, that's when people experience the most shedding on their lashes.
Change of seasons.
Yep. And then what else I have here?
I have that you have to be over 18.
I have that too.
And I do have a separate form where a guardian can, your mom and dad or whatever, can sign for you. But if they are not even 18 yet, you should have a consent from that because they're technically not an adult. And you don't want to get any problems with that.
Yeah.
So definitely. If they look young, doesn't matter. Like you go get alcohol at the store, they still like check my ID and I'm 30. So just make sure that you have a consent form for that, or get their parents or their guardian to sign for that if they're younger.
And then, it just kind of goes a little bit more in detail about that. And again, it does say that they are over 18 or 18 and older. And then, and that's it. And then at the very end, they just sign it off and date it. And I want to say that I got my consent form through Etsy. I made the changes through it, but overall, like the aesthetic of it and just the way that it was already formatted. I just got it through Etsy. I forgot how much I paid for it, but it was pretty cheap.
Yeah, so that's smart. There's so many different avenues you can get yours from. There's one more thing that I have in mind that is just no medical condition / informed consent. I do have a list here, which I will go over them for you guys. Just things to think about. So this is a part of my consultation guide. So there's a few things here that can affect their retention, first of all. So I'll go over those. If they have dry eyes, because eye drops and stuff, if they have to use a lot of them, can affect like just retention. Seasonal allergies, we all know it. Like I got allergies like 2 years ago. It was terrible, and my eyes get so itchy and rubbing. That is on here because that can make they can be rubbing their eyes and loosening their lashes. Adhesive allergies are on here before. If they've had allergies before, because usually you can build up to these. childbirth, all the hormones. Oh, childbirth lasts 4 months. They can be just a lot of hormones and can cause like excessive shedding.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Alopecia. Alopecia. How do you say it? Alopecia. I think so.
I don't
It
know.
is. It is a disease or disorder that can cause excessive shedding as well. Thyroid disease can cause hormones that may cause excessive lash shedding or thinning. Iron deficiency can cause excessive shedding or thinning. Hormone imbalances, extreme stress can do this. That can also cause people to obviously lose more hair. They can like pull on their eyelashes, things like that. Birth control can do the same thing. And then retinoid medications or retin A, mostly for the tape underneath. So if they use it underneath their eye, like that can, like when you put the iPads on, people can have thinner skin, so it can affect that.
Yeah.
And then there's another list on there with contraindications said I just cannot do their lashes. So the other ones I could work around. We kind of know, okay, you might just come in for more like more fills or whatever.
Or just to be cautious on that.
Be cautious. Yeah. So if they also once in a while, I'll just ask them these things so they can tell me if I've had them for a long time, if they have any changes, because they usually forget. But if I'm seeing like excessive shedding, I can be like, hey, have you had any changes? Any medications, anything that can affect it? But the contraindication that I do not take clients is that if they've had LASIK in the last 2 weeks, if they've had any permanent eye makeup for the last 6 weeks, eye lift the last 6 weeks, hypersensitivity to adhesives, if they've had a really bad reaction before, that tend to have that again, high fever and severe illness, you don't want to come in and get your lashes done because that's just not good.
Which goes back to the consultation form.
Absolutely.
Or the consent form.
Don't come in with something contagious, okay? Drugs that cause temporary hair loss, nail glue or acrylic silicate allergy, which is in our glue, and then black carbon allergy, which is why your glue is black. They put black carbon in there. Those are the ones that I'm like, if they know any of those, I do not do their lashes.
Yeah. And on that, I mean, I think the way that we're saying it sounds like the consultation takes like forever. It really doesn't. I feel like for me, overall, it's done within 5 minutes or so, just kind of going over everything. And it's pretty brief. And like even that contraindication list that you have, you could just hand it to them instead of reading everything off. And it's like, hey, go ahead and take a look at this. Do you have any of these that apply to you? And a lot of people are like, oh, birth control, or oh, stress, haha, whatever. And it's like, okay, and it's like, those are common. A lot of people are on birth control or diabetes medication and stuff. And it's like, okay, I can still do your lashes, but it's just keep in mind, this medication or whatever it is, it does usually cause more excessive hair loss, and that includes your eyelashes.
So if they do say yes to any of them, just write them in their client profile, which is a great place to keep track of, like, if they're all of a sudden going through like a lot of shedding or any changes, like write everything down in their notes so for next time. Because I'm assuming like anyone, like you're not gonna remember everything. So if there is any changes, just write them in the client notes.
Yeah.
That way, Also, as far as the waiver of liability, right? And have them sign for that. But when I go through that, I do tell them about the potential risks with extensions. So I do tell them first, I go something like this. I say, whether they had it before, like I have sharp tweezers around your eyes, like there is some risk with that. Yeah, you're taped your eyes shut. Also they can have, they can get like a chemical burn if their eye is open. They're very sensitive eyes.
Yeah.
I've had that happen once and it was not fun, and the redness lasted for multiple days because her eye was open and she was very sensitive. So that kind of, it sucks.
Me today.
But it can happen, okay? So just when you do tape them down, make sure you tape them and you can see like if their eye is open. I will say that I have had some clients that their eye just doesn't shut.
Yeah.
And so that girl that I did, like she has very sensitive eyes. I've had people before that also don't have sensitive eyes, but their eyes a little open. But if they do have that excessive redness for multiple days, most likely it is probably a chemical burn. So have them go see a doctor. Also, don't tell them to take Benadryl or any of those things. Just tell them to go and see a doctor. Okay, just to protect yourself with your license and your business. The same if they have an allergic reaction, if their eyes puff up or they have like contact dermatitis. All these things, if there's anything you see, tell them before that this can happen. If it happens, tell them, of course, text you so you kind of are in the loop, but also then tell them to go see a medical provider that can help them and give them some answers. it's a fine line there because not everything is like, oh, you can never have lashes again, but be kind of upfront so they know expectations. Some people have red like a little bit right after the redness goes down, but don't immediately be like, oh my god, I can never have lashes again. Just kind of like just have them go see a doctor and go over it with them so they can trust you to like be in the loop, and then you can take steps from there.
Or sometimes even like for example, like one of my eyes is a little bit red, but it's because I like to talk a lot whenever I'm getting my lashes done, and then like
chatty,
and then like laughing and stuff, and then like I squint my eyes when I laugh, and so it makes the iPad and the tape right up, and I feel it because it's like at first it doesn't feel like that, and then after a while it's like, oh, it's starting to bother me a little bit. And like for this, like I know I don't have to go to a doctor, is and I think that like I know like how you're saying like, oh, usually do advise them to go to a doctor, but if like it's not a chemical burn, it was maybe they were just chatting a lot and it did ride up a little bit. It's like, hey, the redness is gonna go away in like 2 days. You'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like also like you can give them that ease where it's not like, oh god, like go to a doctor right now. Like don't give them that like that scary feeling and stuff. It's just like, oh yeah, this is probably the reason why it probably went up while we were talking or whatever it is, and it's like should go away within 2 days, and if it doesn't, let me know, come in, let me take a look at it. So that's another way that you can go about that as well.
But just I know that we all like, I mean it's just very important to not tell them to take any medications and stuff. I know, like I've been guilty of it, and I've said it before. Like, oh, just don't do it because that actually is against our license, and you can get in trouble for it. So for all you do, just really try to like obviously put them at ease, and if there is something serious, like go to a doctor. Like it doesn't have to be an emergency, but just don't tell them to take anything because that really can mess you up.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's it for today. I feel like we covered a lot. If anyone has questions, like, or if we think of anything else that we forgot, you guys can just like reach out to us, or especially on our Instagrams, or write a comment, and we can get back to you. But it's important to have a consultation and to do it right, to help yourself and help the client actually get what they want,
and for everyone to be comfortable too. It's a better understanding for you, for them, and again, like it goes a long ways, just because it really doesn't seem like a lot of lash artists do give an in-depth consultation. So it's another way for you to stand out. It makes it seem more like what you're doing, what you're talking about. And it just kind of creates that comfortability for everyone, especially, again, if this is their first time, whether it's their first time getting lash extensions or just the first time coming to you, someone might get very uncomfortable very quickly, and it's like, oh, she didn't even ask me what I like, or, whatever. It's like, whoa, and then they're laying there for a couple hours with their eyes shut, like, I don't even know what I'm about to get, So just kind of have like a better understanding all throughout. So
they will trust you more, I think, just when you come in and you show them like, hey, this is all the stuff we can do. This what can happen. Just be upfront and be professional, because I think people will attract to that. People understand like, oh, she knows what she's doing. She's not just doing lashes. She knows what she's doing. Yeah, it's important. We should actually also. Just side note, we should probably make like a little video of that, like just how to do a consultation. Yeah. Because I know that when I was starting, it's scary. It's really scary. I just remember like role playing, but actually that would be a great thing if you guys want to see it. We could make one and like post it on our Instagrams and our YouTube and all those. But just like a little help, you know, so you can feel comfortable doing it. And again, any questions, just let us know.
And you get more comfortable as you go, because like Molly's saying, I know the first few times whenever I got into it and I had to do consultations, I'm like, what is the next question? And I'm all in my head, and they probably tell like, this girl is nervous, she's making me nervous, but you get really comfortable with it after a while. And then again, it's like if something slips your mind, and if it's in the middle of the service and you remember, it's like, oh, by the way, also so it doesn't have to be super precise. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Then we'll just see you next time.
Yep. So this will be posted on YouTube and also on Spotify for sure. We're trying to get it on Apple
absolutely
as well. And and so we'll see you guys soon for episode 4.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.